Welcome back to Combat Mission Battle for Normandy. This is in the shadow of the hill 7 AM scenario. Just looking at the briefing. Situation 0650 10th July 1944. Weather is overcast with light winds from the west. General situation. Having crossed their start line at 0620 hours, the leading platoons of A and B Company 4th Dorsets are approaching the village of Eterville. 5 Dorsets are reporting the successful capture of the Chateau de Fontaine, as we noted last time. However, they continue to suffer casualties from enemy snipers and pockets of isolated resistance in the area of the Chateau and farm complex. Ground. From Eterville, the land rises to the west and the lower slopes of Hill 112. The village itself consists of the Chateau de Eterville, the church and several farm complexes, while spread around the village are smaller dwellings, trees and cider orchards. Mission 4th Dorsets to secure the village of Eterville. 5 Dorsets to secure the Chateau de Fontaine farm complex and push forward a platoon from each of C and D Company to the Caen Eversea Road. Friendly forces 130th Infantry Brigade, 43rd Infantry Division. 4th Dorsets, A Company, B Company. 5 Dorsets, 13 platoon, 17 platoon. 3 troops from C Squadron, 9th Royal Tank Regiment. 1 troop of M10s, 129th Battery, 86th Anti-Tank Regiment, Royal Artillery. 2 troops, 25 pounder, 220 Battery, or 220 Battery, 112 Field Regiment, Royal Artillery. And 1 troop of 5.5 inch 3rd Agra. I'm trying to remember what Agra stands for, or is Royal Artillery. I'll have to look that up. Enemy forces. Enemy units in the Eterville area are believed to be elements of 122 SS Panzer Grenadier Regiment with supporting arms. Plan. A Company 4th Dorsets are to clear enemy forces in the area around Eterville Church and surrounding orchards. B Company are tasked to secure the Chateau de Eterville and the adjoining farm complex. 9th RTR are in direct support to assist, together with E Troop 129 Battery, 86 Anti-Tank Regiment RA. Both objectives to be secured by 800 hours, when 9 Cameronians will leave 4th Dorsets and take over defence with the village. 4th Dorsets will then concentrate at Horseshoe Wood and reorganise in preparation for their advance on Malto. Notes: it takes approximately 10 minutes to move from the 55 metre contour forward edge of the Allied setup zone to the edge of the orchards on the north side of Eterville. Let's see what we've got here again. Plan is for A Company 4th Dorsets to clear enemy force in the area around Eterville Church and surrounding orchards. So that's phase 1. Phase 2, B Company tasked to secure Chateau de Eterville and the adjoining farm complex. 9th RTR are in direct support to assist, together with E Troop 129 Battery, 86 Anti-Tank Regiment. Okay, it doesn't say which. I'm surmising that the 5th Dorsets are pretty much going to be on their own on the right flank. Let's look at the map. So the church area comes first, then Eterville, so A Company takes that, and then the church area, then B Company moves on to Eterville. 5 Dorsets just probe towards the road with a couple of platoons, so that should be the easier task of the two. Okay, reinforcements. So you get those M10s as reinforcements. That is kind of a concern. Wherever there are armoured reinforcements, they tend to be enemy tanks appearing around that same sort of time. There's a reason you get anti-tank weapons. So that probably means, let's go back, yeah, it's shown where the tanks expect. Well, I think they're in those deployment zones, so yeah. Let's have a look at the actual map. Okay, what have we got here? and lots of tanks. Set up in an interesting way. And more tanks. That does worry me, the fact that we've got so much armour here. Some Bren carriers. Bren gun detachments. This is worrying me with getting so much heavy stuff. Now this is I think it's a 1 hour 20-minute scenario. Tons and tons of tanks. That always worries me when I get a lot of tanks. Always suggests that you don't get them for no reason. Again, we got scouts held way back. I'm not sure about that at all. The Vickers HMGs, which is always welcome. Not sure if I'm going to be able to place them. Here we are, back at familiar ground. Okay, what is going to be the plan here? What's our objective? Getting across the open ground, apparently. Now this on the right, I'm surmising I'm going to have to spend quite a bit of time shifting forces across, unless... no, those are not going to be any use. These are going to be two separate attacks. The two battalions are going to be attacking separately. There's going to be no coordination, so... I'm going to have to switch those all the way. It's going to take a long time unless we've got vehicles. There's some carriers. Really for the scouts, but I've got to get this shifted. It's going to take quite a while to move those. Have we got anything else I could shift those? I've got some more stuff down here if I can locate it. Always kind of puzzled why we have scouts placed so far back. Okay, there's no dedicated vehicles. I'll have to figure something out for those HMGs because they will do me absolutely no good there. So shift those forward, get the scouts forward as well. And then maybe work our way along these hedgerows. With only 2 platoons, there's a limit to what we can do. We're not going to be walking across this open ground. Those HMGs should give us some decent cover fire forward, but I don't like the idea of advancing just straight across the open ground. That wheat field is not a long way, so it's kind of tall grass here or anything. Gives you a little bit of concealment, but it's still coming across the open ground. I'll most likely use this line of hedgerows here. Try to give some sort of concealment as we move forward. That's the idea there. Just move those HMGs forward, get those scouts forward as well. Maybe even scout along that hedgerow line. This is where it gets an awful lot more difficult. I'm not even sure if I'm going to attack in 2 phases with A company first and B company following. I might use the companies abreast, just pushing forward with A company on the right, pushing forward here, then wheeling left, and that way giving some potentially giving some, having the ability of outflanking the enemy. There's an awful lot of cover here. There's no real way. There's no open way in here. That also makes it difficult to provide supporting artillery fire, because getting a spotter, even there, look, you know, you're not going to be able to bring down fire from a spotter that far deep. So the only way that I'm going to be able to do this really is by having basically a rolling barrage, just timing it so that the artillery fire just shifts further and further back. I think it's going to take 10 minutes to move forward from the forward edge there to certainly up to Eterville Church, maybe 10 minutes. So this is going to be a very in-depth and complex setup, never mind actual gameplay itself, but I will see you back when I have everything placed. Here we're back from quite a long setup session. As you can see here, we have let's see where we are. We have A company on the right of the road and B company on the left. B company is going to advance across these wheat fields and stay on the left, pushing towards Eterville Church, and A company, is it B company? Oh, get confused here. The other company will go on the right through these orchards and wheel left through Chateau d'Eterville and into Eterville itself. Almost all, in fact, let's have a look at it. I've got the couple of Bren gun teams move forward. I'm limited a little bit here in setup as to what I can put where. If you look all the way around this setup, I'm using a 2 up 1 back scheme, so 2 sections forward, HQ section and in the centre, and 1 section in reserve. Here I have the 2 75mm Churchills forward and the 57mm back. 57mm has more AP ammunition, so that's held back in more of an anti-tank role. And I've got 2, and it's the same procedure with both companies. I have a kind of a heavy reserve, which is the 95mm Shermans with the 75 Churchills with the 75mm to back them up. Same scheme for both companies. Each of them has a assigned forward observer. There's also a forward observer party here. You can see I've set up a bit of a rolling barrage here. 5 minutes at the forward edges, 25 pounders in the woods on the right, and on the left I think it's 3-inch mortars along the forward hedgerow and in the thicker trees on the left, just to the right of the road on that left hand side. Also a barrage of 3-inch mortars. Then is another barrage, I think it's 25 pounders across Eterville Church, right across the whole stretch of the map from tree to trees. That comes in after 10 minutes, and after 15 minutes the 5.5-inch artillery, the heaviest stuff, is going to fire right across Eterville, right across to the woods to the right of the chateau. So hopefully I want to be able to keep up with that. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, hopefully keeping up with that barrage. Scouts, mounted scouts in the centre. I've got them set up to go both ways, left and right, to support either the 4th or the 5th. These guys in the centre, they seem to be locked in place. I can't really move those. The scouts, and there's a support HQ, carrier platoon HQ. I don't know why they're locked in place there, but here I have managed to be able to shift the HMGs forward. Problem is they have no line of sight in these buildings forward, which is going to make it difficult for me. I'm not sure what kind of line of sight I'm going to get moving across this field. got a feeling I won't have much until we actually get into the wheat fields, but who knows. I'm going to try to get these scouts forward. Not sure I'm going to deploy those so far back. I might have to use this to cover that left flank, and then use scouting teams to gradually infiltrate forward and then work our way along here. And after 15 minutes, I think it's the 107mm mortars are going to just fire on a line right along this road here. Try to deal with whatever's in there. So I have one battery of 3-inch mortars unallocated. I'm keeping those in reserve. It's a 1 hour 20-minute long scenario, so it's going to take quite a while to get there. Very much a scheduled rolling barrage type situation. It's going to be a real challenge to do this. I'm not, again, as I said before, it's going to be 2 separate battles. They're going to be not going to be able to support each other, these two, the 5th and the 4th Dorsets. So, but this is going to be the tough one. I'm really fearful of. I'm hitting this whole wooded area on the right here. I'm hitting this with 25 pounders because I don't know how deep the defences are going to be. There might just be a forward outpost line. I'm probably not going to hit the real intense stuff until we get to the line of Eterville Church, but I don't want to get chewed up early on. And I'm expecting an outpost line that's going to be deep into these woods on the right that can really chew up the company there. The same on the left. I'm expecting both companies to hit an outpost line. Armour will be right up tight behind them, and they'll be tight on the back of that rolling barrage. So that is the setup for this scenario. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'll hope to see you for the first series of 10s.